And welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here tonight for the always pleasant task of recognizing people that work for this town who do great things. And you're going to hear tonight some really fantastic things. I'm going to start with Woodbridge Police Department Police Officer of the third quarter. I'd like to, how do you know it's you?
He gave me the hint already.
Well, he starts walking up before I call his name. Police Officer Jeffrey Horvath. And first, let me explain why a lot of these officers are wearing beards and other facial hair. It is Movember. You don't shave for the entire month of November, right? And what's the cause? Is it a special cause?
Cancer.
Oh, the men's cancer, right. I would do that, but my beard would come in gray and I would look terrible, so I don't do it. I would look like, I might look like the director, yeah. So let me just, this proclamation goes through all the basic language, but let me read the important parts. Whereas Police Officer Jeffrey Horvath, during the third quarter of 2018, utilizing experience and training, responded to calls for service to include motor vehicle enforcement actions, which resulted in the issuance of traffic enforcement summonses, DWI summonses, enforcement of outstanding arrest warrants, and arrests of defendants in violation of criminal statutes. And during July 2018, Officer Horvath, while investigating a report of a potentially suicide 13-year-old juvenile who had threatened to jump in front of a train, secured information which identified the area where the juvenile was awaiting a train, and along with additional patrol units located the juvenile and secured the scene, thus preventing the suicide attempt. And whereas during August of 2018, Officer Horvath responded to a report of a 12-year-old juvenile who had become ill after ingesting a controlled dangerous substance. As a result of a thorough follow-up investigation, Officer Horvath provided the Detective Bureau information which identified the distributor of illegal narcotics. And whereas during September of 18, Officer Horvath, while conducting a motor vehicle stop, detected evidence of illegal narcotics, which resulted in the arrest of the individual on charges of distribution and possession of illegal narcotics. Whereas Police Officer Horvath, Woodbridge Township Police Department, is recognized and honored before members of the Township PD, community, and family for his dedication and police professionalism, and is hereby named Police Officer of the third quarter, July 1, 18 to September 30th, 18. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey Horvath, Police Officer of the quarter.
First, I just want to thank the mayor, our directors, and the town council for this award. I greatly appreciate it. Roughly 6 years ago, I was able to join the police department, and as I was going into the academy, one of Woodbridge's finest was retiring. So it was a joke between myself and Officer Small that I was going to be his replacement. And as you all know, those are pretty big shoes to fill. So Brian, I'm trying to fill those shoes. But you know, in order to do our job, we have to have support. And from the administration, we got some of the best tools out there, some of the best training available to us. So I appreciate your guys' support. And my squad mates in the back, thanks for coming out. All right, so again, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
And I realize I did not introduce the council. On the far right, talking to Officer Horvath, is his protege, or he's Brian's protege, Councilman Brian Small. At large, Councilman at large Greg Ficara, Councilwoman at large Lisbeth De Jesus, Third Ward Councilman Avenel and Port Reading Corey Spiller, Fifth Ward Councilwoman covering Colonia Debbie Meehan. So thank you all for being here. Now we have a special award for two police officers, Officer Matthew Doherty and Police Officer Jose Maldonado. If you gentlemen would please come up. Doherty's no stranger. I think he was Officer of the Year last year, right? Sir. And he's back. He's back. Let me just read the proclamation. It's the same for both. On October, I guess it's the same for both. On October 23rd, 2018, Police Officer Matthew Doherty and Jose Maldonado responded to Il Costello's restaurant located at 81 Main Street to assist fellow Officer Maldonado in providing medical support to a 58-year-old female who had collapsed while dining. Upon arriving at the scene, Officer Doherty determined that Officer Maldonado was performing CPR and that the female patient was unresponsive. And whereas Police Officer Doherty activated the automated external defibrillator, AED, and administered 2 shocks to the patient, while Officer Maldonado continued performing CPR. The activation of the AED in concert with the continued CPR restored the pulse and breathing to the female patient, who was then transported via Woodbridge Township Ambulance and Rescue Squad to the hospital where the patient survived. And whereas Doherty and Maldonado are hereby recognized for dedication to public service and public safety and are honored before the Woodbridge Township Police Department, fellow officers, and community. Once again, somebody's alive because of the actions of our police officers, and I can't think of anything better when you're a policeman, fireman, first aider, EMT, when you actually save somebody's lives, and these gentlemen did it, so congratulations. Okay, now our next award is the annual Bruce A. Turcotte Firefighter of the Year Award for 2018, and I'd like to call up Assistant Chief Nicholas Natole of Hope Lawn Engine Company Number 1. Am I pronouncing that right? Natole. It's Natole, I'm sorry. Whereas the Woodbridge Township Fire Officers Association annually honors and recognizes Woodbridge Township firefighters and emergency response personnel who have displayed outstanding dedication to public safety and community service. And whereas the Woodbridge Township Fire Officers Association sponsors the Bruce A. Turcotte Firefighter of the Year Award in memory of fallen firefighter Bruce A. Turcotte, Hope Lawn Engine Company Number 1, to recognize a member of the Woodbridge Township response community for actions above and beyond the call of duty. And whereas the 2018 Turcotte Firefighter of the Year Award is presented to Assistant Chief Nicholas Natole, Hope Lawn Engine Company Number 1, in recognizing his long-standing service and contributions to the company and to the greater Woodbridge Township community. And whereas on June 6, 2018, Assistant Chief Natole, while engaged as a Port Authority of New York, New Jersey bridge agent, responded to a medical emergency and applied AED life-saving measures to resuscitate a 69-year-old passenger on a New Jersey Transit bus in cardiac arrest. As a result of the life-saving measures implemented by Assistant Chief Natole and first responders, the bus passenger stabilized and survived the medical emergency. And whereas Assistant Chief Nicholas Natole, Hope Lawn Engine Company Number 1, is announced as recipient of 2018 Bruce A. Turcotte Firefighter of the Year Award and is honored before fellow firefighters, peer, community, and family. Ladies and gentlemen, another guy, somebody's alive again because of this young man's actions. It just doesn't get any better than that. Congratulations. And joining us is Brian Turcotte. Brian, do you want to say a few words? Yeah, and Janet, would you like to come up? Bruce's wife.
I'm just happy that we're able to continue my father's legacy by honoring this award to Assistant Chief Natole, and hopefully we can continue doing this every year until forever, I guess. So that's it.
Danny, you good? Nick, you want to say something? You sure? Yes. All right. All right, and our last award tonight for Mayor's Award for Excellence in Public Safety for the EMT of the third quarter goes to Port Reading First Aid Squad's EMT Daniel Egan. Okay. Whereas EMT Daniel Egan began his emergency medical service career in 2008 as a volunteer, secured his EMT certification, and successfully rose through the ranks to serve as captain of the Port Reading First Aid Squad. And Councilman Smalls up here is a former member, a current member of the squad. His dad actually started the squad how many years ago? 40? 1970. So almost 50 years ago, his dad actually started the Port Reading First Aid Squad. That's quite a legacy. And whereas EMT Daniel Egan, Port Reading First Aid Squad, while working the night shift, responded to a medical emergency call for assistance involving a pregnant female who had begun labor, and upon arrival at the scene, assisted in the delivery of a healthy baby. And whereas EMT Egan has demonstrated exceptional leadership, service, commitment, and compassion in providing emergency medical patient care and excellence in the performance of emergency medical services, and stands as the recipient of the Woodbridge Township EMT of the third quarter, July 18 to September 18. Once again, congratulations to Dan Egan, EMT of the quarter, third quarter.
Before I roast Danny, I want to thank all the Hope Lawn firefighters and the Port Reading EMS and Woodbridge police officers that came out tonight. Thank you very much. Round of applause. I met Danny when he was about 5 years old. He was playing in the PBA Street Hockey League. Nice little kid. Saw him coming up through the ranks. And then he turned about 12. And he got a quad. And he rode it in my patrol area. And it drove me absolutely crazy. To the point where I would just see him, he'd see me, and he'd get off and walk it. We wouldn't have to even speak words anymore. So then he turned 16, he joined the squad. I said, oh boy. I said, this kid again. But I can't speak highly enough about Danny. I actually want to say the night that he delivered the baby, he relieved me at the squad. I ride one night a week, one time a month for 4 hours because I'm old and I don't want to stay out too late. I heard he delivered the baby. I don't know if I was more happy for Danny delivering the baby or for me not being there to deliver the baby. I had the privilege of doing it once, and it's definitely an honor. You don't get too many bright, happy events when you're in the field that everybody in this room is in. So on behalf of the mayor and council, Danny recently just got married too last week. Congratulations. His wife Nicole is here. On behalf of the mayor and council, I want to present Danny with this stethoscope. Congratulations, Danny. Great job.
Okay, just want to wrap up by saying every day, several times a day, I say Woodbridge is the best town around, and just look around, as Brian said, we have police officers, we have first aiders, and we have firemen all here to celebrate their own, all here to celebrate, in most cases, life-saving actions by these young men and women. I just can't be proud of the police force, the fire departments, and the first aid squads in Woodbridge Township. We really are the best town around because they're the best around, so thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for our young brothers. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger published the annual notice on December 22nd, 2017. A copy of the schedule is posted on the municipal bulletin board, and it should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Anderson. Here. Councilman Ficarra. Here. Councilwoman Drum.
Here.
Councilman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Small. Here. Councilman Patel. Here. Councilman Bauer. Vice President Spiller. Here. And President Meany.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from October 30th, 2018?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with second reading ordinances tonight, starting with letter A on your agenda, which is a bond ordinance to authorize the renovation of the Ford's First Aid Squad building for the use as the Hickory Senior Center and the acquisition of the adjacent property in the amount of $1.8 million. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only.
Good evening, Council President Gerard from Marco Hope Lawn. Yeah, I'm sure this is going to be a pretty extensive project over here. Does this bond ordinance, does this include the acquisition of the Ford's Women's Club?
It does.
Okay, are you aware of the history of that club and how it benefited the community for well over 100 years?
There'll still be a spot in there for them.
Okay, I understand they're going to be located in the new building, and they're going to rent it for like $1 a year or something like that?
Yeah.
It's the same arrangement that we
Yeah.
have with the Knights at Sycamore or the American Legion at Five Branches, and they're willing seller, and they will be participating with their activities, will be in that building, and they have their own storage, and it's all, my understanding is it's a very positive transaction for them.
How much of the new building or new construction will be allocated to the Ford's Women Club, and will they get their fair share of time with it?
Yeah, the building is run down. They're happy with this. We're going to help them out just like we've done in a lot of these buildings. Unfortunately, they get old, so we help them, and then we still keep these clubs within these facilities.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, I don't know if the township and people are aware that that building was moved there in 1937, and it functioned as the Ford's Library up until the mid-60s, and it does have a rich history on it and stuff like that. And who's making noise?
You.
Hey, over there? Okay, that's it. Okay, that's about it, and we'll see what happens with that. It should be pretty good then. Take care.
It'll be very good. Thank
Any
you.
other comments on letter A?
Yes, good evening, Tom Maris, Sports, New Jersey. In addition to the 1.8 million that they're specifying in the ordinance, what was the initial acquisition cost of that property?
Senator?
The acquisition cost, you mean of the women's club?
No? The first aid squad says previously acquired by the township. How did you acquire it and what cost?
We had that a long time ago. I don't know how long we've owned that. Before me. I don't know how long we've had it.
I'm just looking at the total cost. I guess I can.
Yeah, but
say
it's not been acquired since I'm here, so I don't know when you got it.
I realize that.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
So I can't answer that question.
I'll submit in open, we'll find out. But going back to that, look, I know the ladies there. I worked with them at the club several times over the years. A wonderful group of people. I know that they considered that a historic building. They thought it was. It truly is not registered with the Historic Society. And it is a shame to see it torn down after the renovations were made to it. Nonetheless, progress goes on. But I'm also wondering, there's another group called the Ford's Caseby Seniors. Will provisions be made for them to occupy the new building once that's up?
Well, they-
If they wish to do so, I'm sure. I'm not familiar with them. There hasn't been a request yet. Where do they operate out of now?
Wherever they can find space.
Well,
They used to do it at the church, then they were doing it over at the library on,
I'm sure if they work with
okay.
The township's very accommodating
Director
to all
Green,
these clubs.
we will work with them.
Well, I appreciate that because I'm a member of that organization. I'd like to let them know that all they have to do is reach out and maybe, once this is up and running, that there may be, what's left of the Ford's Caseby Seniors can perhaps meet there. Thank you very much.
Any other comments on letter A? Hearing no other comments on letter A, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're going to take letters B, C, and D as consent. These are all amendments to Chapter 7, which is our traffic ordinances with regards to the addition and deletions of handicapped parking spaces, speed limit on Woodbridge Center Drive, and the removal of reference to Congregation out of Israel that has been in the codification. Can I get a motion that these three ordinances be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be opened?
Motion?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letters B, C, and D are now open to the public. B, C, and D open. There are no comments from the public. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed and these ordinances be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter E is an amendment to Chapter 10 entitled Taxi Cabs and Limousines. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is now open on letter E only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter F is an ordinance approving the application for long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with CPB Caseby. Can I get a motion that the public hearing, second and third reading be taken up and the public hearing be open?
Motion?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter F only.
Good evening, Council President. Roger Baca again on the Mahopalan. I'm wondering, well, here we go again with this CPV and another tax pilot. I'm sure you know how I feel about these pilots going on these properties and stuff like that. I do have a question. That property was subdivided, is that correct? It was one piece of property, and then before the Zoning and Planning Board, it was subdivided into two separate parcels. Is that correct, Nancy Drum?
Marta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was subdivided. Okay, now, this is what's got me confused and a lot other people too. In the original description of the original pilot, okay, I guess it was from 2013. Am I pretty good so far? From 2013. Was the original pilot amended to reflect the division of the property? And is it legal to stack a pilot upon a pilot?
Director Leske, you want to answer that?
Right. My understanding is that this is for the second facility.
Yeah.
So this is for the second building that's going to be on the second piece of property. There is an existing long-term tax exemption that's in place on the first building and the first piece of property.
Correct.
And this is now going to be on the second.
Correct.
So, so we're not stacking one on top of another one that's the same owner, but the two separate properties that will have the tax abatements on them.
But the original pilot, as written, describes the property in whole, like, you know, it
That I
describes.
can't tell you because I didn't participate in
Yeah,
that.
I know you weren't
portion of
around
it.
here, Mr. Landolfi, and this is what's confusing about it, and what you're doing is you're diluting the first pilot, and what's that doing is it's reducing the value of the first property of the first pilot. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're halving the property, you're cutting it in half.
No. That's a misunderstanding, I think. The first pilot is not being amended. That is staying exactly what it is. If it's for $100, I'm not going to.
Okay, yeah, just-
If it's for $100, it's not being cut, it's staying at $100. The new one is going to be another one on another project. It does not diminish the first one. So we're not cutting anything with the first one.
It describes the contents of the property as the property B, as the property.
That I can't tell you, but I
Well,
can
yeah.
tell you that we're not getting any less money on the first one, and we're in fact getting more money with the second one.
If
When it gets-
anything, the first one should get a tax cut, because his property.
Well, we don't argue for them, that's for them
Well,
to
no,
argue.
I'm just saying that you should have the property, the description and the wordage and the language looked at in the first pilot, because you're stacking the pilot on another property that does have a pilot on it, and, you know, what can I say? Pilot error? Okay. I'll talk to you later, take care.
Are there any other comments on letter F? Letter F only.
Yes, Tom Maris Fords. Just following up on what Mr. Bennett was good enough to say. Specifically, this doesn't say how long-term that is. Is it 30 or 35 years? And there must be a dollar value attributed to it. Can we know what that is, please?
Okay, this is to approve the application. This
Correct.
is not approving the actual agreement yet itself, it's to approve the application to be accepted. I don't know the specific terms of it, to be frank with you, but the council accepts the application, then we will review the application and then decide what the final.
Well, I think it would be fair, to, if I may, sir. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
I think it'd be fair to ask the council, since they're going to be asked to approve it this evening, or are being asked to approve it, what's in that application? What is the applicant asking for?
Okay, fair enough. You know what it is. I have to find it here.
And if I may, while you're looking for it, I'm rather disappointed that the council can't answer that question since they're going to vote on it. I would think they know, should know, what they're being asked to vote on.
Mr. Maris, we rely on our professionals to answer a lot of the questions.
Why aren't you asking the questions? Why am I standing up here or any other person from
CPV is
the
a
audience?
very good
You're
taxpayer.
asking you
It's a
because you're
great
voting
business in
on
our
something,
township.
and you just said you don't know unless you ask them. You just admitted it.
Chris, traffic. I'll be happy to get to you. I'm just trying to find specifically where I'm, because we're simply accepting the application. That's why I'm trying to find the application.
Well, you're asking the council again, as I just said, to approve the application, and yet the council's just admitted they don't know the content of it. They're depending on you to tell them.
G, F. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Council President, might I suggest that,
It's F right here.
It's 35,
All right.
35 years.
This is an ordinance to approve the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of the financial agreement with CPV Keysburg. So I stand corrected.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The whereases go through. This is for the second one. It is for the annual real estate taxes currently generated for the undeveloped property are $14,590. The estimate for the annual service charge to be generated by the project is estimated to be $88 million. In light of the market conditions, this will result in creation of numerous construction jobs and upon completion, 2 permanent jobs. It is enhance the economic viability and opportunity to enter into the financial agreement. Now therefore be it ordained that the exemption from taxation as set forth in the application is hereby granted for the term set forth in the financial agreement, provided that as provided for in the law, it can't exceed 35 years or 30 years from the completion of the project. That's statutory, as you know. The mayor and township administrator are authorized to execute and make the necessary changes, and that's it. So it is the agreement itself.
Yes, sir.
That will provide up to $88 million over the term of it.
Thank you. I felt confident you would know. I just had to give you a minute. But again, I'll say I'm rather disappointed in the council not knowing and having to turn to you on something that they've been asked to vote for.
Council President, I just want to share that, as you saw, the paperwork was in there. We were confident in our administrator that he would find that those terms of the contract, as Mr. Maris has tried to point out, that we don't know this. It's not the case. As you saw, there's a lot of details in that. Okay, there's a lot of details in that, and it's not something that we're just going to have at our fingertips. So our administrator, I was confident that he had that information, and he was able to get it for you, sir.
Thank you.
John Retired Woodbridge again. Mr. Anderson, Councilman Anderson. Obviously,
I did what? I didn't hear you.
I said Councilman Kyle Anderson. Obviously, you probably knew about it, but I don't think the rest of the council knew about it, because otherwise they would not ask the senator to answer the question.
We have it in front of us.
We are
There's
aware of it.
hundreds.
Okay, my
We look to our
question,
administration.
when you talk about long-term, over 35 years, long-term, I saw the mortgage is 99 years in Europe. We talk about no more than 35 years? And the second part question is the property contaminated?
What did he say?
Is the property contaminated?
Is the property contaminated? Well, I don't have that in front of me. I'm just doing the agreement. I don't have
So,
any backup on it.
then again, are
The
those...
property is already owned by the applicant. We don't own the property.
I understand, but depends what they want to build on it. If they want to build apartments, I'm supposed to be
No, this isn't
What?
apartments.
non apartments.
It's a power plant. Right, it's a power.
Then why are we giving the tax breaks on those
We're
properties?
not giving them to, this company is one of our biggest tax people. They pay the most tax. It's one, I believe, in 5 businesses, right? They're very good for our community.
I'm
They're
sure
very good
most
for our
parties, we are
community.
not,
Excuse me?
we are not good for community as a citizens?
Of course you are.
Well, sure, because they probably own the most land, that's why they most taxes. But
We
my
get a lot
idea
of
is,
taxes.
why would they get tax exemptions on a property, it's probably a prime piece of property, and none of us people do something like it. Why they gonna benefit?
They're not having their property be tax free. In fact, when this is done and in place, this company, between the two pilots, will be amongst the 3 top taxpayers in the municipality. There's an abatement as to, it's a payment in lieu of taxes, but it's payment. There is the payment. And in this case, right now, the raw land is generating about $15,000 a year. When this is developed, and in order to develop it, that's why these things are done, it will generate millions of dollars.
Of course, but they're gonna probably rent it out, they're gonna get revenues from it, they're not building for hell of it. They're gonna make money of their property, but they're not paying the share of the taxes like anybody else.
This is gonna be a power plant. I mean, I don't know. If
I don't, that's what I mean, there's a power plant, so we all gonna pay electricity, and we all gonna pay, we're not gonna get breaks out from there because they're building the Woodbridge, right? We gonna pay less electricity because of them? No. So they're gonna make money,
What
let
would
it
you
pay.
like us to do? Just leave it vacant and collect the
Now we're gonna- we don't have
$15,000?
much land to go
We're
on.
bringing money into the town. We're taking land that's underutilized and we're utilizing it now. I don't understand what's the downside of that.
Because you've got so much little land to left, you should get most of it for it.
What
You're
what
tied
would
up
you,
with
what would
30
you, what would you suspect we would make there? We are bringing in a company that's going to generate work for people, pay more taxes, bring more money
Okay.
into this town, and help as best we can to
Okay, now-
stabilize
Now
taxes.
you just walk into one. How many jobs does the plant that's there now generate right now?
I don't know that. but
37, I believe.
You know that.
Thank you.
37. You know that, Mr. Vitale.
Are there any other questions on letter F? There are no other questions. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed? The ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter G is an ordinance with regards to an amendment to the building regulations for the installation of solar panel systems at residential properties. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up in certain second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Second?
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter G. Letter G only.
Tom Maris, West New Jersey. I'm just looking for an explanation of what that ordinance is going to entail. I'm sure many of the builders and homeowners throughout the township would love to know what you're doing with, as far as codifying the construction of the solar panels.
It's regulation of construction code for solar panels.
Yeah, what does that entail? I understand what it is.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I don't understand the question. It's a reduction in fees for residential homeowners who want to put solar panels on their homes, and it's a particular mathematical calculation attached to the level of electricity that's used or generated by the solar panel. That's what the fee is graded by. So it's a reduction in fees.
You would not know that in reading this, because it does speak specifically to the article Uniform Construction Code. That's why I was asking what this entails. So obviously, there's a potential savings to the homeowners by hearing you correctly, but I don't know what impact that may have on the actual construction, either by the homeowner or any contractor's building.
Well, if we want to limit fees in the if we want to limit building permit fees, we have to do it by making an amendment to the building code regulation. That's where the fees for building permits are located. There's no other way we could do it.
Well, thank you for the explanation and clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, George Walker, Hope Lawn. Really quick question on the solar panel thing. Does this apply to only new construction, or the old panels are grandfathered in, or it doesn't apply to the old panels?
It applies to residential.
That's what I mean.
Do either.
Pardon?
It's not retroactive.
Okay.
It's for an application, a residential application, a homeowner application for a solar panel. This fee is a reduction in fee.
So it doesn't apply to existing panels then, correct?
it couldn't, the fee is paid when the
Okay.
panel's put in place.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments on letter G?
John Woodbridge again. Are those solar panels only to be put on the top of the roofs of the houses, or they can put on yards or sheds or anything like that?
Homeowners get to decide where on their property they'd like to place solar panels. It's most common on roofs, but there are other locations possible. Yes.
Okay, because I see that happen in the Huddington County. It's not supposed to be in a house because a lot of people do not actually like to put them in a house if they got enough property to put them in a backyard or any kind of other structure. Thank you.
Any other comments on letter G? Hearing no other comment, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Under first reading ordinances, we'll take letters H, I, J, K, L, M, and N by consent. Can I get a motion that these ordinances be passed on first reading, published in the Home News Tribune on November 23rd, 2018, with notice of public hearing to be held on December 18th, 2018 at 7 p.m.?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Madam President, I listed letter O with regards to the recreational marijuana sales, but I didn't know if you wanted that on here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. The council's intent this evening was to ban recreation marijuana in Woodbridge Township. As you may be aware, the state continues to move in different directions on this subject matter. Therefore, we will not be taking any action until the state adopts legislation, if at all, because any decision we make this evening or going forward until they make a decision will only be moot. So we will not move forward with that.
Okay, all right, I will pull letter O from the agenda then.
Thank you.
And then finally, under resolutions, if I can approve by consent, you have numbers 1 through 43. 1 through 43.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. That's it.
We will now be going into our public portion of the meeting. If you'd like to speak, please go by the microphone, state your name and the town you live in, and just keep in mind it's a 5-minute limit.
Evening, Council President Gerard Chewbacca, Hope Lawn. Let's start off with a moment of silence for those residents and businesses who face eviction and the taking of their property due to this pilot tax breaks and the projects that are proposed by this administration, and they are targeting their properties. Okay. The marijuana thing, you're not going to vote on anything. That was pulled, right?
We're not going to vote
Yeah.
on it until there is a decision from the state.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do. You don't want that to happen because, whatever law the state makes, it'll supersede it. So that's no good. I wrote to Mr. Mitch, I emailed Mr. Mitch about, monitors and stuff like that in here because the public's not being put on camera. That's not going to be a done deal, huh? Public's not going to be on the camera?
The public has, they can hear you.
That's good enough, put it
Yeah,
on camera.
they
That's
can
for
hear
you, okay? I mean, the policy's changed over the last 10, 15 years, and I really think you guys are so behind the times. You need monitors up there, preview monitors to see exactly what content is going out over the cable and to see, just exactly what's being recorded. So it's not a done thing, but, I will continue with this. I'd like to draw your attention to the property on the Elks over there on Roe Avenue and stuff like that. I got a picture here, and, you want to take a look at it or something like that. You guys are doing work over there on the Elks property. It looks like you got a major amount of equipment. You got survey, you got trucks, you got tandem dump trucks and pickup trucks, and you're trenching, and, what gives? What are you doing out there?
I believe I think that's the shared service agreement, is that?
Yeah, that was a shared agreement with the Barron Arts Center for parking. So we were correcting a water problem that they had in the parking lot.
Yeah, who's liable for that? They got sued, and we put major drainage there. We put up sewer pipes, we put in a catch basin. You want to take a picture of this? We put in a concrete pad. You had about 16 guys working on the job in the last 3 weeks. Well, maybe 8 guys working, 8 guys being around. But you want to take a look at the picture here, and maybe Mr. Henry can identify the thing. I mean, there's the picture right there of the downspout and stuff like that.
That's the downspout.
Yeah, but I mean, in the real world, what would this cost? I mean, you're knocking down structures, you're pouring concrete pads, and you're gonna pave the lot. I mean, who's paying for this, and why are we diverting the money from other projects and stuff like that to pay for this?
We didn't knock any structures down.
Yeah, I got a picture right here. I mean, you wanna take a look at it?
What structure are you talking about?
There was a small structure there, it was shaped like a
shed?
A shed.
That's
You
not
knock that
structure.
down, you poured a concrete pad, and you have a couple tandem dump trucks there, gravel. You put in a catch basin, and I don't know where it's emptying, but, you know, I'd like to continue this further. Exactly what projects are you skimming the money from to put the money?
That's inappropriate. There's no skimming of any money for any construction project.
You have work orders,
This is a
you have
shared
purchase
service
orders.
agreement that allows the township to utilize the lot for parking for the Barron Arts Center, which benefits the township employees, and it benefits the township residents, and it benefits the folks that are visiting the Barron Arts Center.
Well, what was the purchase order for the piping and for the stuff and stuff like that in the,
You can file an Oprah.
Huh? File an Oprah, yeah.
Why don't you leave those pictures with Mr. Mitch?
Definitely, yeah, I'll leave it with the thing over here, and I'll email it
Not
to you.
with thing, with Mr. Mitch.
Huh?
Leave them with Mr. Mitch.
Yeah, take a look at it, if you're really interested. In fact, since Council Picaro is so interested, he said a few weeks ago he'd like to take a look at it. Maybe he could do a little investigation on behalf of the taxpayers.
I'm satisfied with the answer, but I'm just asking you, if you're so concerned about it, leave the pictures.
Just
Let's
don't-
move on. What's next?
This don't cost money. Huh? What does it cost? Labor, stuff like that?
You're wasting your time now. Tell
I'm not
what's
wasting my
next.
time.
What's your next topic?
Am I wasting the taxpayers' time? Don't argue with me.
5 minutes are almost up. Let's get
Almost
moving.
over there. Oh, yeah, the people's houses that you're taking, how are we gonna get them? What are the,
We're not taking anybody's houses.
on Ross Street, everything like that, that's coming up before the planning board, that you're gonna take the whole block over there? You're gonna be harassing the owners and stuff like that to take their property?
That's patently false and untrue. That hearing hasn't happened yet, so I'm not able to speak about it publicly. But I can tell you that the notice that you've seen, any advertisements that you've seen, specifically indicate that it is a non-condemnation redevelopment study that's going to be in front of the board, and there is no taking proposed. No one's going to be harassed. That is a total and complete fabrication.
Mr. Chewbacca, your time is up.
Happy Thanksgiving, hypocrites.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Laura Bradshaw from Woodbridge. My neighbors and I are here again tonight. We were here, I think it was 3 weeks ago, because we were upset about a planning board meeting. We were opposed to some of the plans for the Rawway and Rawway Avenue and Green Street high-density building, and we were schooled by the planning board that we were 2 or 3 years too late, and we were told that we should go to redevelopment meetings because that's the place where you can get in at the ground level and express your concerns, ask your questions, and maybe make a positive impact for the community that we all live in and love. We went to the redevelopment meeting tonight and afterwards had a conversation with a couple of folks, and we were told we should come to the council meeting. So we've done some research online, we've talked to a variety of people. I need a civics lesson. I clearly am not understanding when is the right time for concerned citizens to ask their questions, offer their insights as longstanding residents, get answers to things that aren't easily accessible online, when our questions can actually make a difference. We don't want to oppose something after it's too late. We'd like to be able to discuss it and possibly influence or shape the outcome. But we cannot find out or figure out when that is. Can anybody help us understand that so that we don't go to meetings after the fact?
I can take that, Council President. As your councilwoman
Yep. Hello.
in Ward 1, I'm very open to you emailing me. You have my email, I assume, through the township?
Yes.
My phone number, your concerns. Feel free to send them to me, and I will work with the administration and have, your concerns addressed.
And so you would represent them for us? Is that
Well,
how
I
it
would be,
works?
our role as
Right,
council
right.
people is the intermediary in between the constituents and the businesses in our ward and our administration. That's what our role is. as
Which
council.
I would have expected, so thank you for confirming that. That makes good sense to me. Is there ever a time where we can, not that you wouldn't represent us well, but is there ever a time where we could also speak for ourselves in the throes of whatever's being negotiated or proposed? Is there ever a time where we could be our own voice versus a voice through you? Or in addition to you as a
Well,
voice
I
for
would-
us?
With all due respect, your concerns I would portray those over to administration, and, we would be able to have that conversation. I wouldn't, if you had a concern and something that you were upset about or concerned about or a good idea, I would put that in writing and I would send it over to our administration. I mean, I would say whatever your concerns are. But
Okay.
you want more? It sounds like you want more.
I guess I'm just, I feel as if we've been instructed to sort of find the right source of when to personally express our concerns and ask our questions, but I can't find at what point in the life cycle of a plan
So
that
do you want to
is.
take an example that you're concerned with now that maybe we can work with?
Yeah, when would have been the right time? Let's take Broadway Avenue and Green Street, where we have a lot of concerns about parking and other issues. When would we have had the opportunity to express those concerns where our expression could actually make a difference or be taken into consideration and change the plans, if we were able to articulate
So
that?
back in the day,
Mhm.
when the planning board attorney said that you're 3 years too late or
Right,
whatever he
right.
said to you that night, so if you were aware of that, at that time, you could have brought them to my, to me, to my attention, and you could have gone through me in that regard.
Okay.
So maybe that's not the best example,
But the
right?
outlet or the
Because-
vehicle is through you, not redevelopment meetings, not council meetings, and not planning board
I
meetings.
know that you were told that you could go to the redevelopment meetings. I know that you went tonight. Maybe
Yeah.
it was a short meeting, or maybe it was, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I've never been to a redevelopment meeting.
We were basically told afterwards that at those meetings, it's a fait accompli. So
To
we
go
just
to
don't want to
council.
waste our time. We don't want to get in the way of what's happening. We want to influence or at least be heard at the right time.
Well, you
So that's
can-
all I wanted to
I'm
understand.
here for you.
Okay. And you've made that offer, so thank you for that. We just didn't know if any of the meetings were the right vehicle for our concerns.
Well, you
and
can
it
always
sounds like
come
they're not.
to the council meetings. There's always a public hearing.
Right, but
Um,
again, it feels fairly after the fact, so we will
For this-
definitely
for your
leverage you.
situation,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Councilwoman John?
Thank you very much.
I sit on redevelopment, so it was nice to see you and your neighbors there. Just ask somebody, because there's several different agencies, or redevelopment,
Right.
planning, zoning, council. Everything starts at TRC, which is the Technical Review Committee. I know it can be, a little bit quite overwhelming, which advice we go to, but just talk to somebody and we'll, definitely lead you in the right direction if it ever comes again.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to do by asking you somebody, so I
Thank
think
you.
I got our answer.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
Happy
much.
to help. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Diana Krawinkle from Woodbridge. I just want to bring up one particular two particular topics tonight to make my fellow residents aware that in November of 1964, there was a referendum on a ballot. 87% of the registered voters turned out and turned down by a margin of 3-2 a proposal that they wanted to make Woodbridge Township a city. They said no, they don't want the structure, they don't want to look like a city. And I would say a lot of people would agree with me that looking like a city would include high-rise apartment buildings, high-rise office buildings, and parking decks. They proceeded to do urban renewal on Main Street. Now the subject was coming up again. A lot of the businesses have changed because subsequent to that, there was the building of the Menlo Park Mall, and in 1970, the Woodbridge Mall.
and people started relying for their shopping there and less on the Main Street area. If you ask anybody living in Woodbridge how many businesses they patronize on Main Street, definitely the post office and probably the CVS pharmacy. Now, I personally also patronize the Food Mart, the printing business for printing boxes and photocopying. Once a year I go to Nevis, but other than that, I don't do my business there. This is very much what's going on in a lot of towns. I know, for example, someone I know has a business in South Amboy. He said the businesses come and go, come and go, come and go. No one is asking the townspeople what they want to see or to what extent they want to see it. And as I said, the people expressed a long time ago that they didn't want Woodbridge to be a city or look like a city. And I would say basically that's it. I mean, nobody consulted us. I find it, I'm going to end one other thing about one proposal that's coming up. It varies as to who you're talking to on what day. It's directly across from the Ross Street School. There's a discussion of a high-rise apartment building or a parking deck. Now, in this day and age, with the concern across the country for safety and security of all schools, I'm not going to say just elementary schools, it's just amazing that anyone would have a discussion to bring in structures that are for transients. And perhaps Woodbridge has a formula to deal with this, and I'm sure there's many other communities across the country would love to know what they are doing to guarantee that safety. But I said, we don't want it to look like a city either. And the businesses on Main Street are simply not serving us. I have a friend from New York who's a doctor. She comes to visit every once in a while, and she said, it's a shame they have no businesses that I want to patronize on Main Street. And I said, well, that's the way the residents feel. And we like to be a vibrant community, but unfortunately, no one seems to be paying attention to what residents have been saying for decades. So thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
So, I'm Hibi, and I was wondering that...
I just need you to state your name and the town you live in.
My name's Ibsam Us,
Okay,
and I
and just
live-
speak up a little bit so we can hear you.
My name's Ibsam Us, and I live in Fords, and I was wondering, so
It's okay, you can just speak up a little bit.
I was wondering about some of the topics that we're talking about. So would you like be able to like consider like going like public and getting like assemblies going and like doing public opinion polls to get like a larger viewpoint on opinions so that like you can like construct like responses and like change some stuff that the public would want?
Sure, we always, any of us up here, we love to hear from our residents, and especially our youth, because you have wonderful ideas. So anytime you do want to ask, we, Councilwoman Drum and I, we go into the schools, and we talk to a lot of the classes to get the students, you know, opinions on different things that we could do to make the town better, because we want you to stay here, and we want you to live here, and, you know, come back after you're done with college. So anytime you have an idea or concern, you can reach out to anybody on the council.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Any other comments from the public?
Yes, Tom Maris, Fords. Just following up on some of the things I've already said. I know these people have many concerns about the new apartments that are going to go in where Stern Towers is. And just a quick comment on that, I believe that property was sold for about $2.4 million. The true value on that is probably far, far in excess of that. And if one were to look at what we could do with it, $55 to $60,000 per unit, you see that's a substantial amount of money that they're going to make if they did nothing more than just get what they got passed as far as the redevelopment of that area. That said, it also, in reading the documents, and I don't know whether the town is paying for this yet, it may lie within the body of information I just received through John Mitch and the organization, and I do thank you for that effort in supplying that information, $800,000 to demolish Stern Tower. It's going to cost the taxpayers over $11 million to build the replacement over in Port Reading. I understand that some of that is going to be subsidized by HUD and other sources of income, but that's still a tremendous amount of money, and I believe there's a bond sitting out there for about $6.6 million that's also in part of that. Again, bonds are something the taxpayers pay for, and it costs us a lot of money. So I would congratulate WIC. They're making a ton of money. I think that happens to kind of fly, as does the proposal to go after people's homes over between Ross Street and James. And don't tell me you're not, because you've already looked at condemnation approval, if needed, to take out 2 businesses that sit there. One's brand new. And just buying that tire store and the new beauty salon over there would probably cost the taxpayers at a minimum $4 million to acquire that. And for what? Parking? So we can have parking decks next to our school, a brand new school, to bring more transit people into an apartment next to a middle school? I don't see the wisdom in that. If one goes back to March 24th, 2016, there was a master plan developed by T&M, of course, for the re-examination of the report. In that body, one of the things it says that was critical and that they did look at is to ensure the integrity of existing residential areas. I see that being destroyed constantly with this new development, the overdevelopment that's going on in Green Street, Rawway Avenue, now over on Brook Street, and soon probably going up from, back from Amboy Avenue down both sides of North James and Ross. And again, I question the wisdom of why this council continues to approve. And as the lady was asking for directions, this is the body. But every time you come here and you ask them something that the redevelopment's doing, go talk to redevelopment. You talk to redevelopment, they say come talk to the council. You do a great job of doing a round robin, keep people spinning while you get all this stuff done.
Excuse me, 1 second. Didn't Councilman Drum just say, come to me personally?
Yes, and that wasn't what the lady was necessarily asking for, sir.
She seemed to be satisfied, sir.
Well,
Why
I'm
are you
not,
speaking
and I don't think the
on her
rest of,
behalf?
I'm not.
She's capable of speaking
I
on her
heard
behalf.
what was said, and I was addressing that.
And there was an answer. We don't need you to speak on someone else's behalf.
I can speak
Are
on
you an
my own.
elected official?
No, and I don't.
You try a lot, but you're not one.
Well,
So speak for yourself.
I am.
Thank
you. I've got the mic.
You got
Thank
it.
you. You got it, right.
Speak for yourself.
And you're not wasting my time while you palaver over there. Thank you.
I'm not collaborating. I'm just asking you to speak for
I am.
yourself.
Now, let me finish.
Please do.
Thank you. Now, the other part of Code of Ethics. You and other members of this council vote on things where you are connected to it. You sit on one board, you vote on the housing approval. That's a violation of Code of Ethics.
We have counsel on both of those
I am gonna
bodies,
file-
and I
I'm
am
sorry,
instructed
I'm
of what I
filing
can vote on and what I
complaints
can't vote on.
With the Ethics Committee, we'll see what's holds.
That's good. I look forward to it.
Yes, so do I. Again, I go back to that. The gentleman brought up about all the paving that's going on, and it isn't just the Elks. You've done it to 2, at least, Knights of Columbus and a church. And again, it's under the auspices of, well, they're going to provide parking. Why can't those places charge for it? Why are we paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to repave private properties at taxpayers' expense?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're looking at me. I thought you were asking me. I was going to
You're
give you an
right.
answer.
Sorry. Let me look to the council.
I have an answer for you if you like it.
I really don't. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead,
What
Councilman
are you asking?
I'm not addressing you.
Why are you asking a question?
I'm asking because I want to know how much is that costing and why are we doing it?
It's a shared service.
ask
They're
you,
not
I
getting
asked
it
the
for
council
free.
president.
Well,
Thank
he knows
you.
more, so please answer that.
It's a shared
Thank you.
service. You were told. They're not getting it for free.
Shared service?
Right.
I
Now,
thought that
in the
was-
case of the Elks, in the case of the Elks, we're using it for a parking lot for one of our facilities. Okay?
Mr. Maris, your time is up.
And they couldn't charge for it, right?
Are there any other comments from the public?
John Tariq Woodbridge, just follow up on this one. How come before we never need such much parking spaces until now? Because you were developed, right, without parking spaces. I just want to ask on the number 40 over here, on the Oak Tree School, increase of $7,790,639.93 up to $7,800,046,446.78. What school is that?
Are you asking me?
On Oak Tree Road, because you seems to be
It's
to
School
go with the
29.
meeting tonight.
It's School
So-
29.
Okay. I mean,
School 29.
Oak Tree
Road
Road, what is
School.
School
Says it
20
right
Oak Tree Road?
It says it right there.
Uh-huh, it's this and Cecilia. Now, we rented school, right? Don't we own it, just rent it.
We lease it.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yes.
Take it's rent to rent. I know I've been this.
We rent
so-
from
Now,
the
then
church
again,
and the church rents.
that's a Oak Tree School, right? On number 40, number 39, now you can say, St. Cecilia renovation, 207,000, that's the same school, right? How come one is St. Cecilia, the other one is Oak Tree School? It's the same building, right?
It's Oak Tree
You're
Road.
spending $8 million on somebody else's property. And plus you pay $400,000 rent a year.
I don't know what you're saying. If it's referring to St. Cecilia's, you're referring to the church. Oak
Well,
Tree
why would you
School
spend on the
29
church? We don't spend on the church, do we?
I'm sorry?
We don't own the church yet, do we? We don't spend money on a Catholic church, do we?
No.
Well, there you go, but it's a St. Cecilia. Renovation of project, increasing the amount to $207,200 to $2250. Renovation of project, and the sense, what is it?
There's a multiplicity on this one. We rent the property from the church. We then sublet it to the Board of Education. So there's a revenue stream from the Board of Education that comes to pay for the cost of what we're paying to the church. Also, though, it is also the Oak Tree Recreational Center. And we have a portion of that, use of that facility for the taxpayers and the public of the township for recreation purposes. I think it's the gym and...
The gym, there's an art room.
An art room, right, and other facilities. So it's a combined use that's done over there. But we rent, sublease our portion to the board, who then puts the school in there. I'm hoping I just clarified
From Peter
it.
to Paul, right?
Sir?
From Peter to Paul. You know, it's from Peter, it's our
That's your
community, it's
opinion.
us. School or city, it's us, taxpayers. But you're spending over $8 million on somebody else's property. How long is the lease on it, or what you want to call it, on the school? How long lease do we have on this piece of property?
At least 30 years.
At least 30 years.
Yes, sir.
That's in writing?
30 years.
And, excuse me, Mr. Vitark, I also believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, that the lease of that building allows us to restructure and have full-day kindergarten. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Which is very important to the communities, is what we've heard.
I know, of course, but my question always from day one was, why did we not purchase the school instead of renting it? And then you're allowed to spend this kind of money. It's not our property. You're gonna pay the rent, right? I'm sure the rent's gonna be $400,000 for the next 30 years.
It wasn't for sale.
When it
tried.
wasn't for sale, there's other places for sale.
No, this wasn't for sale. You have to take that up with the Diocese of Trenton. They
I tell you, they probably got more brains than all of us. Why would they sell it when they get in the $400,000 rent a piece of property, probably doesn't worth $1 million, $2 million? That's a cash cow.
Mr. Vitarak, if we had done it the other way, you're saying we should have built a school?
No, but I'm sure you could find other places. There's a lot of parochial schools, maybe not as big, but there's other parochial schools. You got right in this Woodbridge town, they've got a lot of room over there.
Oh, that was a parochial school. It was in our town. It was in a great location, and it worked out for everyone. So now residents are looking at Woodbridge Township as a place where they can educate their kids starting in kindergarten, where they couldn't do that before.
Well, according to Board of Education, last year when we asked them about it, we don't need schools.
We don't need schools.
We don't need schools?
We don't need
We know we need
schools?
schools because increase the population, but again, I think it was a bad deal from day one.
That's your opinion.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening? Hearing no other comment, can I get a motion that the public portion of this meeting be closed?
Motion?
Second?
Questions, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
We will now move into our our agenda. I just want to tell the students that are over there that we have people that come in here sometimes and they scream and they yell at us, and that's okay because there should always be checks and balances, and we don't always have the answers. That's why we look over there to the ones that do have the answers because hours and hours and hours this council spends trying to help people and answer telephone calls, and we take time away from our families. So being a council person, that's what that's about too. It's not just when people come up here and yell and scream at us. We need them because they teach us. We learn from them. We don't know everything. We try our best for every single resident in Woodbridge Township. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to go into my agenda. It's together. I would like to take a moment to let our residents know that our Department of Public Works, Dennis Henry and his staff, were well prepared in advance of last Thursday's November 15 snowstorm that apparently surprised other towns, but not our DPW. Dennis mobilized the entire DPW workforce and vehicles well in advance. All of our DPW sanitation vehicles, including Woodbridge Police Department maintenance vehicles, were outfitted with plows, sanders, and brining equipment several days before the storm. DPW work crews brined the primary streets on Wednesday, well in advance of the storm, and were positioned to begin salting and plowing throughout the day on Thursday. It is important to note that the state and county DOTs are responsible for plowing their roads. However, our DPW crew assists whenever possible. The issue arose in the late afternoon when many area businesses and schools let out early, which jammed the streets with traffic and which in turn aggravated the efforts for the plows and salt trucks to do their jobs. Because our DPW crews were already positioned on the primary and secondary roads in town, they were able to keep up with plowing during the storm. In fact, our DPW crews worked overnight cleaning the streets, parking lots, and schools, and they were all cleared by Friday morning. In case you missed it, News 12 was at our DPW yard in Keysby on Wednesday morning, reporting that the Woodbridge crews were already in position and ready to go. We would just like to thank Dennis Henry and the DPW for a great job done. I would also like to acknowledge the Woodbridge Police Department on their fundraising efforts during the month of October, where the Woodbridge Police Department went pink for breast cancer and raised money, and again this month for No Shave November. If you notice, some of our police officers in the back have beards. It's because they're raising money and bringing awareness to men's health. The money that was raised was brought to an Avenel family whose dad passed away from cancer last month. I was with the police officers today when they brought that money to the children, and they truly appreciate it. So thank you, Woodbridge Police Department. And lastly, I would just like to thank everybody that donated a can of food or gave me their free turkey last week. Your generosity helped to feed children from 30 families in our Woodbridge Township School District. Please continue to give food if you can. There are many people that are here right in your neighborhoods that are hungry, and this time of year, our food banks run critically low. So thank you for everybody that gave a piece of food and just reached out to help their neighbor, and just wish everybody a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. Item number 1 on my agenda, Avenel Community Day, in conjunction with the Avenel Fire Company, presents its inaugural Avenel's Very Merry Holiday Lighting. We will be flipping the light on a 17-foot tree and a 6-foot menorah. That is this Sunday, November 25th. Begins at 4 p.m. with the holiday lighting scheduled for 6 p.m. Parking will be available at the Avenel First Presbyterian Church on Avenel Street. Please bring a non-perishable food item for our local food pantries. We'll have caroling, face painting, characters, take a picture with Santa, light refreshments. So we are really looking forward to that. Again, that is this Sunday, November 25th at 4 o'clock at the Avenel Firehouse. Item number 9, the Avenel Fire Department is still in the process of their recruitment drive. If you are 18 and older, reside in the fire district or just on the outskirts of the fire district and interested, please call 732-855-9747 between the hours of 7:30 and 4 and ask for an inspector. We had a big recruitment drive over the last several months. We got 3 new volunteers in, so we're hoping numbers keep rising. That's the rest of my agenda is in order. I just want to thank the administration. The new light at Rawway Avenue and Avenel Street, it's working. It really, it's getting the flow of traffic better. I spoke to Sergeant Treasurer in traffic about that one piece that we're going to no park, so nobody parks there now. But that's working very well. And just happy, safe Thanksgiving to everyone. Have a good holiday.
Councilwoman Drake.
Thank you, Council President. Number 3 on my agenda, the Downtown Merchants Association is having in celebration of Small Business Saturday on November 24th, this Saturday. We will be lighting up Woodbridge with the annual holiday stroll in downtown Main Street from 4 to 6:30. Talk to Pat Kenny. I think they're going to close down Main Street at 3:30 on Saturday. It's an annual event. It's our 11th annual event. Thank you to Recreation Department. They've been working really hard. They've kind of upped their ante this year. They're having an ice skating pond for the little kids to ice skate. Woodbridge Fire is bringing some fire pits and marshmallows and sticks so the kids could, and the adults, I'm sure I'll be roasting marshmallows as well. We'll still have the horse and carriage rides up and down Main Street. We'll have some crafts being done at the Woodbridge Art Gallery. They're going to be making some ornaments. There'll be some carolers, and actually I think we're having some ice sculptures this year as well. So we're looking forward to a fun event, so we hope that everyone can make it. Number 5, the Chamber of Commerce will be presenting their annual holiday luncheon on Monday, December 10th. They'll be at the Renaissance from 12 to 2. If you want to register, you can go to the website, www.woodbridgechamber.com, for details. It's a really fun event. The Woodbridge High School Choir does a really beautiful performance. The choir director, Beth Amory, will be announced her recent retirement. So this will be her last time that she'll be leading the choir, and it's a really nice event. So we're looking forward to it. Hope that you can join us. Number 6, the Buy Local program. I would encourage everyone to download the Woodbridge Now app. It's free, and it has all of our upcoming Woodbridge Township events. We do an awful lot of events here in Woodbridge Township, especially gearing up for the holidays. They're all on there. We hope that you can join us. There's information on our parks, our schools. There's a My Waste app, which is excellent. It tells you when your recyclable and your trash pickups are, and any other leaf pickups or Christmas tree pickups. It's a really, really great resource to have, so we encourage you all to get that app. And we are also encouraging you to be mindful that our local businesses appreciate your patronage. They are the backbone of our downtown. We try really hard here in Woodbridge to patronize all of our local businesses. Please consider your holiday shopping there, whether you're buying gift cards or doing some catering, going to our local businesses and patronizing them. We appreciate it. Thank you. 14, the PACE program had their holiday bazaar. It took place this past Saturday at Woodbridge High School. This is the 3rd year that they've been doing it, and this was their best year yet. So they wanted me to thank everyone for their support and coming out and supporting their program. 16, the Woodbridge Elks are having some upcoming events. They had a recent hoop shoot this past Saturday at the Woodbridge Community Center. That was very successful. It was a free event, and a lot of the students from Woodbridge schools were there competing. They're having a karaoke night on November 30th as a fundraiser and a New Year's Eve party. And when they have these events, they're fundraising so that when these kids compete in the free events, they could advance to the district and the regional level. So they appreciate your support. Woodbridge has just been named a LEED City, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, for our township's progress toward our sustainability goals. Our efforts include energy, water, waste, transportation, education, health, safety, prosperity, and equitability. This LEED, L-E-E-D, City certification demonstrates how our administration is working to improve the quality of life for all of our residents. On behalf of Councilman Bauer, he couldn't be here tonight. He wanted me to announce that the FBC, the Ford's Business Community, is having a holiday tree lighting on Saturday, December 1st. I believe it's on New Brunswick Avenue from 3 to 6, and the rain date is December 8th. I wanted to wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to also wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I would like to acknowledge Woodbridge High School is hosting a professional wrestling on Saturday, December 15th at 7 p.m. The event is promoted by the House of Hardcore Wrestling, and it will benefit the athletic program at Woodbridge High School. You can go to, for ticket sales, you can go to www.houseofhardcore.net. Again, this is to benefit the Woodbridge High School athletic program. I'd also like to wish the Ford's Bearcats good luck as they travel to Florida, as they won their conference, and they're going to represent their conference in their national championship. And the Woodbridge Bronco cheerleaders, 2 levels, have made it down to Walt Disney World, and they will also compete and compete for their shot at a national title. I'd also like to ask anyone that is looking for work, that's out of work right now, to please check the Woodbridge Township website. We've added the Civil Service Commission. We've also have New Jersey Transit, and there are a number of other positions with Wellspring. Wellspring is a company that helps prevent and counsel those that are dealing with addiction. And if you go to our Employment Opportunity Center on the website, you can find all of those opportunities and other local opportunities where they're specifically looking for Woodbridge Township residents. And I just want to congratulate the local and county and state officials that did win their election.
Councilwoman Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Board of Ed.
Councilman Figueroa.
Oh, thank you. Just a couple of quick things at the Recreation Center under my item number 1. Friday is usually referred to as Black Friday. Besides shopping, there's a lot of good activities going on at the community center. Roller skating and ice skating, noon to 3 for roller skating and noon to 2 for ice skating at a special price of $5, and there's also rentals there. As Councilman Drum said, on part of our holiday Saturday, this coming Saturday, we have our first annual dog walk, Santa Paws Dog Walk. It's $20 to participate. The funds are going to the Woodbridge Animal Shelter and the Adoption Agency. There's fun opportunities sponsored by Walgreens to have your pet picture with Santa Claus. And there is a nice free t-shirt, and special thanks to Hackensack Meridian, who will have some doctors there that will walk with us and talk a little bit about healthy topics. Moving down to my item 10, and Jacob's Landing. The next phase is about to be opened, so folks will be moving in there, and we're very excited about that. Item number 11 for me is the club at Woodbridge. Just a couple of quick updates on some initial renovations to repaving the front driveway, a lot of potholes out there, improving to the facade of the main entrance, and removing things like broken trees and things that were somewhat of an eyesore. Doing some work on the roof, initial work on the roof. A cleaning company as basic as that to really scrub that place, and it's become very noticeable. I was there a few times last week talking to the membership. We do have some architect folks in there looking at the infrastructure, and also when that building was built, it did not need to be handicapped accessible. Now with the ADA regulations, rightfully so, it does need to be, and we're working towards that. Infrastructure things such as heating and ventilation and suppression system, and also the inside, which we're excited about. If you know it, there's a big section, looks like an airplane hangar with some old flooring in there. We'll be putting indoor turf in there, which will be an area for young people to play year in and year out because it's temperature controlled. Also installing simulation golf, which the members seem to be very excited about in one of the golf courses. And that's all I have besides happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Council President. Moving down to item number 5, Police Community Relations. This week, they have held and will hold next week their police interaction program at all of our high schools. They attended a bike safety program at one of our elementary schools, and on November 26th, they will attend the Heron Task Force meeting and continue next week with the police interaction program at the high schools. Moving down to item number 9, the Barron Arts Center. On November 30th through December 30th, the Barron Arts Center will hold their holiday model train show. Again, this runs from November 30th through December 30th. The Barron Arts Center Holiday Concert, the Jazz Lobsters Big Band Christmas, will be Friday, December 7th at Woodbridge Middle School at 7:30 p.m., and no reservations are needed. Moving down to item number 10, the Woodbridge Public Library, TED, TEDx, Woodbridge Public Library, a series of programs at Forts Branch on Thursday, November 29th at 7 p.m. Join the community in a discussion of what's new in technology, entertainment, and design with TED, TEDx Talks. December 1st is the deadline to submit original art to the library for Woodbridge to Art, a 350th anniversary celebration of Woodbridge Township, for a special after-hours art show at the main library on Friday, December 14th. Details can be found on the library website, www.woodbridgelibrary.org, or by calling 732-634-4450. This Thursday is Thanksgiving, and we usually sit around with our loved ones and we mention what we're thankful for. And last Thursday, we had a snowstorm. And on the way home in the evening, I was one of those that was moving turtle pace, and over the bridge, there was a small accident. But what caught my eye was the fact that we had our Woodbridge police officers out of their cars without regards for their safety, directing traffic. So this coming Thursday, when you're sitting around the table and you're mentioning something that you're thankful for, take a moment and think about our first responders, not only here in Woodbridge Township, but in our country. We just had those fires in California, and we saw pictures of our firefighters, laying on the ground. So I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, Feliz Día de Acción de Gracias, but take a moment and say a prayer for our first responders, not only here in Woodbridge Township, but throughout our country. And that is all that I have. Thank you.
Councilman Small.
Thank you, Council President. 2 announcements. Woodbridge High School will be hosting its first annual bowling tournament on December 1st at 8:30 at Majestic Lanes. It's the Marissa Tafaro Memorial Tournament. She was a 13-year-old girl that passed away last year from a rare form of cancer. They're going to have a toy drive at the lanes starting at 8:30, and all the donations will go to the Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital of Columbian Presbyterian. I just want to remind our residents that on December 2nd will be our annual holiday parade at 1:30. I ask all our residents to come out. It's a great day for Woodbridge, and support our local police department, first aid squads, school bands, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and everybody else that comes out for this parade. It's a good day. Number 6 on my agenda, bike lanes. If you're riding around town, you're seeing the lanes all over our streets. It's going well and should be completed very shortly. And number 8, our school projects. Again, you can see what's going on with the construction. It's going well. Everything's on time. And that's all I have tonight. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. My agendas, they are in order, but before I go on my announcement, I would like to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. I have one announcement for Isleen. We have an organization called Indian Business Association. Usually it stands out as IBA, and for like last 14 years, they have been arranging, that big parades on Oakley Road. And also last few years, they have been also organizing Christmas spectaculars. So this year they will have their Christmas spectaculars on Saturday, December 1st, between the hours of 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. And it's going to be at the India Square, which is located at the corner of Route 27 and Middlesex Avenue. During this program, we will have Christmas tree lighting, toy train rides. We'll have also picture with Santa Claus. Santa will also give out toys to the guests, and we'll have also magic show. And this event is free and open to the public. So that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Under number 1, letters A, B, and C, I continue to work with the police department on these transfer applications and corporate structure changes With regards to number 2 and 6, just keep an ear open. I'll be sending you some information on reserving some dates on your calendars. Finally, when the legal department is done, we will be carrying into an executive session on personnel matters, and everybody in the audience will have to leave. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. At the next meeting, we will be presenting a resolution for an amendment to the shared services with the fire department. The Avenel Fire Department. It will be increasing the amount of money they give to help for the accounting services. There'll be a proposal for the Bowtie Park demolition. There also, we will be going out for applications for all of our professional services, so we will be going out for RFPs to all of our professionals for the 1-year terms, and then putting them in front of you after they come back in. There will be a resolution to authorize the negotiation of bids for, because we didn't have any, so now we're going to go into negotiations, and then the rest is housekeeping in nature.
Thank you. Director Hubner. Director Green.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 items tonight. The first is a shared service agreement with the Borough of Palmetto for animal control services. And the second is the shared service agreement with the City of New Brunswick for our opioid overdose recovery program. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 items for your approval next week, and I have an agreement for donation with the WTYRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. So in addition to our standard biweekly refunds, we'll also be doing waiving of some application and escrow fees. And I just have to reiterate 2 points quickly. First, the housing redevelopment law and subsequent case law requires that all notices and studies indicate whether or not, when they are proposed, whether condemnation is proposed. It's either a non-condemnation area or a condemnation area. And it must state explicitly in the notices and in the study which of the 2 it is. And it is specifically stated in what's been referenced here tonight that it is a non-condemnation redevelopment study. That means no one's house is being taken. And no matter what else may get said, that is the law. Secondly, no area in town over the last 11 years has been studied and planned more extensively by some national firms outside of us. We have a list of 13 to 15 different studies and plans that have been undertaken in the planning that is now going on downtown. And what that has meant is we have listened to the businesses and the residents and the businesses that we've tried to attract. And what they have said repeatedly is that in order to produce a Main Street in the Amazon age that serves the residents and the other businesses, it is necessary to attract more residential to the same area. And when you produce that level of residential, you can then attract national downtown retailers. Additionally, all of those studies included the one referenced tonight with regard to the housing element, the master plan, the Main Street Transit Village plan, the facade manual that was done, again, over 10 years ago. All indicate that this is the preferred and recommended direction to go in. And finally, this is not a new idea. Every transit station up and down the Northeast coastline, the Northeast corridor line, has participated in just this type of sound planning and study, albeit, I would say to you, to a much lesser degree over a much shorter period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. I have 1 item. We have the Local Freight Impact Fund grant for Blair Road and Port Reading Avenue to Railroad Crossing. Thank you.
Nothing this evening, Council President. Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 230, Open Clause of 1960 75 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that these circumstances presently exist, and therefore be it resolved by the municipal council of the township of Woodbridge that the public portion of this meeting is hereby recessed in order that the council may meet a closed executive session for approximately 10 minutes to discuss personnel matters. Can I get a motion to move the resolution?
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. At this time, I'd like to ask the public if you could please leave the room. Okay, Madam President, as we just exited executive session, we have a resolution before you to authorize the Township of Woodbridge to process an involuntary disability retirement application. Can I get a motion to move the resolution?
Motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
You got it. Motion.